Hello crafty friends, this is card number 33 in Full Deck Challenge 2. The prompt is weaving. I'm going to use the playing card and this piece of old encyclopedia paper to do my weaving. First, I'm going to start by preparing and making my card ready for the weaving. I'm using Mod Podge to add a piece of white tissue paper to the face of my card. I apply a layer of Mod Podge over the tissue paper too, and then I dry this all really well. Once it's dry, I'm going to tear off the excess tissue paper around the card. You could also use a scissors if you don't want to tear it. Just a note, if you don't have Mod Podge, you could also use craft glue or gel medium. I'm going to add some bright colors to my card. I'm using my color burst powders in fuchsia and purple. I just sprinkle the powder onto the card and then spray with my water bottle, which activates the watercolor powder into a vibrant color. I then pick up the card and just tip it from left to right and up and down to let the colors flow across the surface. The powders I'm using in this video are the Ken Oliver Color Burst powders. Once those colors are nice and dry, I'm going to splatter some black acrylic paint over the entire surface. I water down the acrylic paint to make it easier to splatter. It's never too late to join in the Full Deck Challenge. I will link the first challenge in the description box below, and if you're on Facebook, you can search for my group. Just search Full Deck Challenge Group. My card is now ready to prepare it for weaving. I'll need to cut it up first. I'm using my cutter and I'm going to cut this into 4 strips. You can cut this into as many as you want, making them as thick or as thin as you want. I'm now also going to prepare my encyclopedia paper by tearing it into strips. I'm just using a ruler for this and roughly eyeballing how wide it needs to be. You can measure this if you want it more accurate. We're now going to start our weaving. I'm going to use a craft glue. I would recommend using a wet glue like this so you can adjust the paper strips as you need. Something permanent like hot glue, I don't think is great. Well, not for me, because I needed to move around the strips and adjust them as I went. I usually find the first few strips a little tricky until I get into a rhythm. You're going to apply just a small dot of glue underneath the first corner and apply your horizontal piece underneath, and then you'll alternate and apply the horizontal piece on top and then underneath and on top and so on and so forth. And then your vertical strips will go the other way. It was also a little tricky because the playing card was a little more stiff. It's easier to maneuver this if all your papers are soft, but I made it work. When I got to the bottom, I realized that I couldn't fit another strip horizontally. So what I did is, thankfully, because the glue was still wet, I shifted everything down a little bit. So there's about a 1/2 centimeter space at the bottom and a 1/2 centimeter at the top. Another way to have done this would have been to use another altered playing card for the horizontal bits. I thought about doing that, but then I wanted to have a big contrast between the weaving. That's why I used a more plain print from a book for the one set of strips and then the bright altered playing card for the others. I do enjoy a good contrast and I think it balances well. When you get to the last strip, just add a drop of glue on the front and the back of each strip so it holds everything in place. I'm going to tear the excess strips just with my hand. You could also use a scissors to trim them if you prefer. You could also leave them long or make them staggered if you want a different look. It looks great already. I love the colors, and I'm going to add a focal point. I have this black cardstock die cut that I've created. I think the black contrasts well with the black splatter. And just to make that pop a little off the card, I'm going to add a piece of cheesecloth underneath, and I'm going to add some gesso to the cheesecloth. I'm going to add it using a paintbrush and just dabbing it here and there. Even if it blobs, I think that looks great. Don't have to smooth it out too much. And then using a tweezer to hold it, because it can get really hot, we're just going to dry it with the heat gun. And then you'll see it leaves a beautiful, crusty, patchy cheesecloth. I think it makes a great effect. And that will go underneath my black leaves. I still feel it needs something a little more, so I'm going to use some black thread and just bunch that up underneath the gesso. Once I'm happy with how everything is sitting, I'm going to glue it down using my craft glue again. And then to balance it out, I think we need something in the top left. So I'm going to add a little sentiment. I'm going to use my little black stickers with the white writing and stick that down. It is a sticker, but I'm adding glue just to make sure it adheres really well to the card. Using a black Fineliner pen, I'm going to go around the sentiment. This is just to enhance it a bit. You could also use a watercolor pencil or a marker, or even not do anything to it. I'm also going to add some white splatter over the entire surface except for my little sentiment. And I'm going to do something really crazy. Even though the card looks complete, I'm going to add something else in a totally different color. Using this beautiful turquoise cardstock, I'm going to do a hand-drawn heart really quickly and cut that out. It's going to be quite wonky. It doesn't have to be perfect or symmetrical. Just going to cut that out, and then using a black pen again, I'm going to go just around the edge as if to frame it or to do a margin all the way around. I'm then going to run it under the sewing machine just in the center of the heart, just back and forth with some bright pink thread to match the background. Very stringy and lopsided and wonky, which I like. And then I'm going to stick that over the leaves in the bottom right hand corner using some foam tape to give it a bit of a lift off the card and a bit of a 3D feel. And then I feel it needs a little bit of the turquoise brought into the rest of the card somewhere. So I'm going to just find a Posca pen or an acrylic marker with a similar turquoise to the heart. And then I'm going to do some marks just here and there to balance out the turquoise. I'm just going to show you a close-up so you can see all the beautiful textures and details of the card. I really hope you enjoyed my video and were inspired to create your own altered playing card and even try some weaving. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch my video. I would love if you subscribe to my channel and then hit the little bell so you're notified every time I upload new content. Thanks so much for watching. Happy creating, and I'll see you again soon. Bye.